You see, guys, the saddest part about life is that when you are so unlucky to be born in a very poor background, chances are you may end up in the same status. And sadly enough, you might also transfer the same poverty to your generation. But today's video, I'm going to illustrate to you most of the difficult measures you must take as a person who comes from a very humble background and turn around what some people call as a generational curse, so that you can be the hope that can uplift that family into something bigger. Once you are lucky enough to find a job, maybe to move abroad, and the truth is you are leaving your home back in the village because of the problems. You know, at the back of your head, all that you know is, I have to change the health and the status of my family back at home. But you see, most of us get it wrong because of what we call the generational curse or generational burden. In that, when you are the only breadwinner in a family that has been really struggling, we always take the pain of wanting to change the status and the health of these families very fast. With our first salaries, we want to try and brighten the faces, the living standards. We want to change things so fast because we already have hope that we've gotten a job and every single month we are going to get a recurring income. One thing that people don't understand is that you can never single-handedly break a chain of a generational poverty unless you become tough enough to understand that sometimes, even with that job, you can never change that family, but you can change yourself to stop being a burden to the same family. How does that work? You see, sometimes you need to take a drastic measure, like, for example, disappearing for at least 3 to 6 months to build yourself. It doesn't matter how much or how hard your family back at home are going to suffer. Because let me ask you a simple question. Who told you that just because you got a job, this job was meant to change your family members' lives immediately? Is it not that God gave you this job and an opportunity not to become a burden to these people? Can't you think in that way? Taking some break, switching off your phone, not thinking about the problems that you left behind, and taking some goals and writing those goals down in a paper and trying to chase those goals within 3 or 6 months. And you see, when I say switching off your phone, doesn't mean you don't communicate with people back at home. It doesn't mean that you don't help them to put food on the table. What I mean is this: you switch your phone off for the things you cannot afford. You see, it is the worst choice that every person makes, especially those who come from home and travel abroad in looking for greener pastures. They think that the moment you are getting 50,000 Kenya shillings, 80,000 Kenya shillings, 100,000 Kenya shillings, you can use all this money to pay for your brother's school fees, to start building a home for your mom, to pay their food, to pay their rent, to pay their electricity bills, to employ a maid for them, and so many things, because you want to change their lives. Unfortunately, this is also another way of staying a poor person. Within the 6 months period or 3 month periods that you are going to switch off your phone from the people you left behind, you must strategically find on how you can invest the money you are earning. Investments can come in form of a business. Investments can come in form of savings. Investment can come in form of doing something that can generate more income from the money that you earn. After the 6 months period, that's the time that you can be comfortable enough to know how much you can give, you can provide to your family without having issues of sometimes even sleeping hungry because you're paying school fees for your brothers, sometimes not buying shoes because you're building a home for your mother. You see, all these things are needed. If your family didn't have a roof on their head, you got an opportunity, yes, you can be part of those who will help them to put a roof on their head. But if you start immediately, you get your breakthrough. I can categorically tell you that you are getting into the same poverty line, and it will damage you just from the beginning of your work until you leave. You see, a lot of people here in Gulf have been working for over 10 years, but they cannot account for their money because what was in their mind was all about the problems they left behind. Nobody thinks about a goal to turn their lives around. What everybody thinks about is, I need to fix the problems back at home. Trust me, nobody fixes them. I want to give you an example. You see, the current government that we have in Kenya have been in power for more than a year now. But when you listen to most of those powerful men in that government, you'll hear them asking the people to give them some time to settle down. The economy will be fixed. You see, it is never a bad request. It is always the best request that a leader should have, just like you also should request your family to give you few months to settle down before you can start changing their lives. Unfortunately, we have leaders and politicians who will always ask for this period of time to be given to them, but nothing will ever come that is tangible. That is the same to you. When you ask to be given time to settle down, be very sharp and try to figure out what is the best thing that you can do. What goals should you put down? What are you going to stop doing that will make you to invest with the little amount of money you are getting? My dear sister and brother, let me ask you a question. Perhaps you had nothing, no job, no earnings. How do you end up not being able to save any amount of money just because you are mentioning the problems back at home? Isn't it laxity in you? Isn't it even foolishness? Keep smiling.